Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Bitcoin says, "I'll be back." Hey guys, how's it going today? So the date is now March the 20th. It's about 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, and live chat is now enabled, guys. So the point of this show is to see if we can actually break 10K. Now this is going to be a very detailed technical analysis, so brace yourselves. Make sure you guys have a lot of food, okay? Make sure you guys have a lot of food. Make sure that you guys get your popcorn. Make sure you guys say no to your girlfriends or to your wife if she says to you, "Baby, I want to Netflix and chill. Why you gotta watch Phil Khan? I don't want you to watch Phil Khan, baby. Let's go Netflix and chill." You say to her, "No. It's now time for Bitcoin and chill night." Always say no, okay? Always say no if she ever wants a Netflix and chill. Bitcoin and chill is the most important thing ever. You'd be like, "Baby, I don't want to Netflix and chill. I want to watch live stream. I want to make you millionaire, baby. I buy you lots of chicken chow fan, gailan, fried rice, baby, and add some egg roll too." So guys, the point of this show, can we actually do it together? Can we actually break 10K? This is going to be the most detailed technical analysis I have ever done in my life. And as soon as we are done this show, guys, we are going to go look for a $500,000 to $1 million 24-hour volume coin. And then we are going to pump it together because everybody else is doing it right now as well. Why do we not pump these coins together? Guys, okay, that's what we're gonna do as soon as we are done this live stream. We will go find the crappiest shit coin ever, and we'll be like, who gives a crap who we dump on? We don't give a crap if you're Luke. We don't give a crap who you are. We're gonna dump on you. There will be winners and there will be losers. But in this dump group, every single person who participates in it will be a loser because I, the person who organizes these pump and dumps, will be the person who profits the most. So as soon as we are done here, please join me. Same time, same channel, same dump group. We are gonna pump these $500,000 coins. Everybody, let's go take a look at Navcoin, okay? We're gonna look at Navcoin right now together, okay? I'm just kidding, guys. Let's start this together. Whew! I'm so excited. Whew! I'm so excited right now. I am so happy to be here. This is such a thrilling moment right now. I am so excited. I feel like we're gonna change the world. I am so thrilled coming to you live here from Canada. Okay, guys, let's get started with some of the theory. And now we're gonna get very serious about this stream, okay? I'm gonna get so serious right now. Whew! I had way too much coffee waiting. I feel like I got the jitters right now. Okay, we're gonna talk about Elliott Wave in detail. First of all, we're gonna talk about Elliott Wave and how they are actually formed. So now I'm actually gonna be very serious for about 30 minutes, okay? I'm gonna be very, very serious. So Elliott Wave goes something like this, where it does a bunch of fractals and waves going upwards. Now within each wave, we see 5 impulsively moving up waves, okay? We ask ourselves, if this right here was 5 waves, is that any different than these 5 waves going up like this, all right? So they ebb and they flow, and you will be able to find these in every single time frame. And there are fractals among fractals among fractals inside of these waves. Now the third one is always the most impulsively moving up because, well, we'll get into the psychology behind it as well with liquidation and adding more strength to the market. So this is how a typical bull trend looks like with 5 waves going up like this, okay? So it's very important to remember these basic concepts. Now we're gonna go, oh geez, my charts keep screwing up on me like that. Okay, I'm just gonna lock the chart, make it a lot better. Now, what we like to do is we like to target a specific number. We take our Fibonacci extension here, and then we say to ourselves, wave 3 is often the longest and is never the absolute shortest, okay? So we say to ourselves, all right, well, sorry, let's just go to wave 3 here like that, okay? We say, okay, that can go roughly to there, and we'll say wave 5 can go roughly to the 1618 Fibonacci extension level. Now, within these waves as well, we do the exact same thing, all right? We say to ourselves, okay, well, this one here can do roughly a 1-to-1 extension as well, okay? We'll make this one a little bit higher, actually. This one here can do roughly a 161.8 extension to wave 5, and also wave 3 can go roughly to the 100 extension level. And then now these are how we derive our targets. As soon as this specific structure, I'd say right around here, is actually made, we can try to derive the rest of everything. Actually, these waves right there. The first subwave, waves 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we can try our best to extrapolate the data that we have. Now, I'm going to show you guys in high detail how we are going to get to 10K together. You guys have to ask yourself, are you bull in the long run? Are you a perma bull for Bitcoin? I sure am. I 100% believe that Bitcoin will reach over $35,000 this year. Do you guys want to see a $35,000 scenario? Yes, you guys do want to see a $35,000 scenario. I know you guys do. Let's go to a weekly chart, okay? Let's simply just go to a weekly chart. Lock the scale right here. Okay, maybe not that extreme. Let's smoothen it out right here. Just like that. And now we're going to go to the beginning of time. And we're going to call this wave right here our first wave that goes up. This is our second wave coming down, like that. So this is subwaves 1 and 2 right there. Now we ask ourselves, where are we in this structure right here? What the heck is this mumble jumble of a mess going on, right? What the heck is it? Well, we can easily figure that out together. Do you guys see? It's a big mess, right? It's an absolute mess right now. We don't know what's going on whatsoever. So let's see if we can actually deduce what's going on from the very end, okay? So from the very end here, what we know about Bitcoin was this made 5 waves going up, okay? This made a very extended 5th wave. Now let's see if we can actually get some more structures in here. Wow, what do you know? This actually made a wave in here like that as well, okay? Something like that in there, okay? Now let's see if we can get some more structures in here as well. Well, you know what? I'll draw it very simple instead. So what we see here is something like that, and then what we see is another 3-wave structure going upwards from here to here. Okay, so that's now our 3rd wave going up, and guess what? This is our 4th wave coming down right here, and now we finally made our 5th wave with a very extended 5th wave like that. If I do it on a log scale, check this out. Whoops. Right? Do you guys see the Elliott waves now? This is now the 5 waves going upwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Just like that. And they made some very massive extensions. And I'm very certain that Bitcoin is going to reach some astronomical numbers in the future. This one right here in particular reached a 361.8 fib extension level. Now this is in a log scale. So this was subwaves 1 going up. This was subwaves 2 coming down. And right now the whole thing that we're looking at is basically like this, okay? We're looking at 1. We'll say this is 2. This is 3. This is 4. And where's the 5th touch? So let's do this, guys. Let's do a very basic extension of Bitcoin using log scale to where we got to around 6K. And we're going to assume a very basic 161.8 extension. And what we simply see in the future is that here's the $35,000 scenario right there. So this is very simple to me, guys. I am a perma bull on Bitcoin. And I can guarantee with almost certainty that Bitcoin, with no doubt, with the way it's revolutionizing the world, with the way that everybody is panicking who are in investment banks or the government, this is going to be a technology that is here to stay, and it's going to revolutionize the world. Right now, there's barely any adoption whatsoever for Bitcoin. And we have to wonder, why is the market being driven up right now if there's no fundamental news that's driving the market? Is it because of fear? Is it because of panic? Is it because of sheer will of the market and the population wanting Bitcoin to succeed? And it has to be that reason. We need some major announcement in the next year or two or next few months. Some government has to announce something and say something like, yep, I approve. Here's a stamp on Bitcoin. Go nuts. Some big company needs to adopt it. Maybe Google needs to adopt it. Maybe Facebook needs to. Maybe Amazon will say, we accept this as our main currency payment. Something revolutionary has to happen in the cryptocurrency space for us to get new market new money in the market. We have to have new investors and a flood and a lot of reasons for new money to come in. Right now, I don't believe that we are in a major uptrend, okay? We're not in a major uptrend whatsoever, in my opinion, and we're gonna hit a wall at $10,000. So let me show you guys, okay, how we're gonna get this. And just keep in mind, this is in a log scale, right? So in a log scale, everything looks different. Here's how it looks in a non-log scale, right? Here's how it looks in a non-log scale when we actually look at it, okay? So everything looks extremely different. But I've been counting Bitcoin, guys, with Elliott waves since 2015. I know Bitcoin extremely well. And what we're retracing to, based on right now, is we're retracing to a very decent amount of the first subwave, right? We retrace literally, guys, literally to the 618 Fibonacci level. If you guys, and any of you guys got in around these levels during the bounces from 6K all the way up to 11K, it was very easy to play during this time. So now let's go over our $10,000 scenario and how we're gonna get there, okay? So we know a lot about Elliott waves right now, and we're just gonna summarize it very, very quickly from the beginning of time, from the Great Big Bang's theory. The way that I see my Elliott waves, I'm just gonna draw it kind of backwards as well, is I see this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 coming down. And I see this as an ABC structure, ABC, a 3-wave flat type, and I see this as a bigger ABC coming down like that. And I see this as another ABC here as well, with a truncated B position, and this one right here made an X. So now if we delete all of this, what we get is a 7-wave structure, okay? I'm going to show you guys in very small detail what this pretty much is. We get an impulse wave failure that ended up breaking to the downside because it retraced more than 100% of this territory. Therefore, it ended up making additional ABC corrections like that, okay? Now what we call this is WXY. The X right here denotes failure in a wave. This is called a 7-wave corrective pattern. Now sometimes it actually does a 11-wave corrective pattern. So now if we break out again, we get another wave down, which now creates an 11-wave structure called WXYZ. X denoting the failure in the wave, Y for where ABC ends, here's another X for failure, and here's a Z finally for the 11-wave structure. Let's hope that nothing like this ABC happens down over here, okay? Now let's talk about this 10-coin scenario. Richie Rich? That's kind of an, okay, I'm going to explain it to you in a nice way. I'm a perma bull on Bitcoin because I believe in blockchain technology, okay? I believe in it in the long term. We have to understand time frames, guys, right? I'm a perma bull in terms of believing in Bitcoin long term fundamentally, and that it has a very viable space in this world for us. So yes, I'm perma bull, but it doesn't mean I'm stupid enough to believe that Bitcoin will never go down, right? I understand that charts go up and down, profits need to be taken, right? So short term, I might be bearish sometimes, but my short term for day trading is like a day or two. You know, medium term might be like a few days. And long term to me as a day trader is about a week. So we have to make sure we understand clearly what time frames and perspective people are speaking from. So if you were an investor, a short term to you might be 6 months, right? So we just have to understand that there's a broad definition behind time frames. So yes, I'm absolutely perma bull. If I wasn't a perma bull, guys, I wouldn't be in this space. I'm not just here for the money, believe it or not. I'm also here to help you guys. I'm also here to make sure that Bitcoin succeeds by being someone in the community that can offer unwavering and unbiased advice to try to help people get started in crypto. So yes, sometimes I am Richie Rich. Notice how nice I was, guys? Notice how nice it was in there? He wrote to me this right here, okay? This is what he wrote. You can't go on and on about how bearish you are in some videos and then say you're perma bull in other videos. That does not add up, regardless of what time frames you are looking at. So did you guys notice how nice I was there? Usually I'm not nice, but today I just felt like being really, really nice. Adnan, it might be you who's actually lagging. Is it really me that's lagging? No way. Okay, I'm sorry about that, guys. I was actually downloading something. Is this a lot better? This should be a lot better now, okay? Okay, this should be a lot better now. I was actually downloading something on my laptop there. I didn't even realize it, and I just closed it. I was torrenting on no, I wasn't torrenting, guys. That's illegal. You don't ever want to do that. So yeah, I just wanted to explain very broadly the definition of different time frames, okay? So now let's go over this structure as well so we can make sure we understand exactly what Bitcoin's doing. Now, this is why I specialize in Bitcoin, right? Because I know the history of it very well. I know the statistics of what happened as well. The way that I see this guy right here is waves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with 5 waves coming down like that. And we made this, guys, if you guys have been following me for a few weeks or months, you guys know that I've nailed some ridiculous targets. Do you guys remember when I nailed the $6,000 target? That was an awesome day. Do you guys remember when I nailed this target right here as well? That was an awesome day. Do you guys remember when I nailed this target right here? That was an awesome day as well, okay? And that one was really easy to nail. Do you guys remember how we did it? We just drew our Fibonacci extension and we said to everybody, make sure you guys are buying at the 618 Fibonacci level right here. Right? It was that easy to get these targets. We've also nailed this 8,200 target, we nailed the 7,600 target, and we nailed the 7,200 target. And this one was also easily nailed, the 11,788. Let me show you guys how we did that target right there. We just simply took this button called a trend line, we drew it right across right here, like that, and simple. And we're like, okay, 11,788 is roughly the target, or 11,750. So that one was easy as well. So this one, I didn't nail that one at all. I thought it was going to go much higher. In fact, this one confused a lot of people. So I definitely accept fault there. But now we're going to talk about how this could possibly reach 10K. But the first thing we're going to do is put it in a log scale because we want to get a different picture. We're going to draw a trend line that overlaps here very well. We're going to make sure that it's very much so accurate, touching the points. There, that's good. Check mark. Okay, now we're going to look at this one as well. Check mark, that's definitely decent. So guys, we're going to draw a little box here just to denote around the 10K range, okay? And now we're going to go over this in high detail with just pure Elliott wave. We're not going to look at price action. Where is everything? There we go, okay? We're not going to look at price action. We're not going to look at anything other than Elliott wave. So what we want to first of all do is identify the first 5 structures in here. Now, from my understanding, thank you very much, Jonathan. I really appreciate that. John Paint Crypto. I've sent you LTC tip before, but I like this better. My wife and I love you. You have changed our life. We bought my wife's family in Vietnam a new coffee field. You taught me, us so much, and we're forever grateful. You're welcome, Jonathan. I really appreciate that generous donation, and trust me, I sincerely appreciate it. That was a little bit overboard, in my opinion, but you know what? If I've helped you that much, it just gives me even more inspiration to continue doing what I do. And I think you guys know me better than that right now, where I'm not doing this for money in any way. And you guys have heard my spiel of how I could charge people a lot if I wanted to for some paid program, but I choose not to. And if you guys would like to donate, that's out of the goodness of your own heart and out of the goodness of my heart as well. I really sincerely appreciate it, Jonathan. The goal is to help people out throughout the world. I talk to a lot of people in very impoverished countries, believe it or not. Some people in India, you know, some people in South America, they say, you know what, you've done so much, you've changed my life. And that alone is the best reward in the world. So yeah, so you guys know what they say to an Asian person, right? They say to an Asian person, you give a bowl of rice to an Asian person, right? You can do that, but he can only eat for a day. But if you teach an Asian person to work in the rice fields, then they can grow rice for the rest of their lives. I'm just kidding, guys. I tried to be really serious there. So crypto deal, I have thought of a Discord channel, but I think it would be too much to manage. It would be too much to manage because the majority of my time is spent making a lot of videos. Making videos, it occupies more than, I'd probably say, half of my day, because I have to edit the videos, right? I have to write up the blog, I've got to create the charts, and believe it or not, every 30-minute video actually takes about 2 hours to make altogether. That's why I'm very limited to my time, and I think you guys know by now how hard I work. I probably work more than any of you guys, I'm guessing. I work 7 days a week, 16 hours a day. I have not gone out with a friend in a very long time. They come over to hang out, but I just don't like to go out because I'm very introverted, believe it or not. So I'm just a super hard worker. I don't really slack off. Like I spend all of my waking minutes working. So, and just thinking of a Discord channel, it's very hard for me to factor in having more time. So maybe in the future, but not definitely anytime very soon. So if we count our 5 waves like this going up, we're gonna say to ourselves, okay, well, that's now 5 waves going up right there. It must be the first wave, okay? So we're gonna draw this right here as our wave 1. It must be the first wave. And we are gonna say to ourselves right now, if this is the first wave, we are gonna look for the second wave. So if I actually draw this right here, thank you, Metro Soul, I appreciate that. If I look at this structure, people would only say, where is the 5 waves? Okay, I only see 3 waves in here. Where the heck is the 5 waves? Is there one in there? So then what we do is we look to a smaller time frame, and what we actually say is, yes, this could definitely be a very viable third wave, just very bullish, because we do see some slight correction there. So now we've now confirmed one official subwave. This whole structure right here is the second wave, okay? This one actually made a very beautiful pattern. It just made a simple ABC type of correction pattern here. A, B, and basically C. And what we see here, it's a very bullish sign because this one here retraced to about the 236 level, which happens about 8% of the time. So by the rules of indifference of Elliott wave expressions, we will say that because this retraced about 236, then the third wave, when it goes up, the fourth one will actually retrace a lot more. So we say to ourselves, okay, now, if this actually formed the first and the second wave, we would like to extrapolate some data, and we're going to say to ourselves like this, okay? We're going to say to ourselves, can a wave possibly hit a 1618 extension, right? Can it possibly hit a 1618 extension for wave 5 and possibly a 100 extension for wave 3? So then we're going to extrapolate even more information from what we see here. Now, because this is now a subwave in here, okay, this is a subwave 1 going up. Now we're looking for a subwave 2, okay? Now this whole structure right here is one small wave, and this one right here is actually a big subwave, a correction wave, okay? This whole structure that I'm about to highlight is the correction wave. Does that make sense so far? I hope that it does. So if that is a small subwave, we will use the same type of extrapolation method by saying that, okay, well, the third wave has to hit a 1-to-1 extension, okay? A third wave has to hit a 1-to-1 extension, and the fifth wave would like to hit a 1618 extension. And guess what, guys? With flying colors and with ease, for this wave right here, we have officially hit a 1-to-1 extension. Not only have we hit it, but we hit it with 5 beautiful waves thus far. And that's how we get those waves right there. And now we say to ourselves, where is this one most likely going to correct to based on Fibonacci? Well, this whole region was a cluster, right? So it will most likely retrace right here. It's very likely for it to retrace between, you know, these regions right there. I'm guessing 86.71 to 87.59. Hoping for it to. It might not even. It might even, this might be it, right? Depending on how bullish it is. A break above this, whatever this price is, 9,050 or something, 40, will signal that this was the end of the correction. So we simply just wait to see where that can get up to, okay? If it breaks there, great. But let's assume that it actually retraces to a fairly respectable level, which is right around to this green region. And then what we will say is that there's going to be one more subwave going up, to 161.8 extension, which is perfect. Now I would like to explain to you guys as well something. So does it apply today where the trend keeps trying to break a particular resistance point? Then it's indicative that it breaks that resistance. Well, I'm more so doing a long-term trend analysis, Zane. And so I'm not really sure exactly what you're referring to. Maybe we can chat after this and you can show me a chart, because it's really difficult to speak about charts without a visualization, but I'll try to read it again. So does it apply today where the trend keeps breaking, or sorry, the trend keeps breaking to break a particular resistance point, then it's indicative that it will break that resistance point? I'm not really sure what that means. Man, that's a really confusing question. I'm not really taking into account these specific structures too much, right? But what I am taking into account is, let me actually just get there again. What I am taking into account is, I guess, these cluster regions, right? That's acting as major resistances, right? So if I draw my trend line right now, we see that we're right at these resistances, right? Where it's trying to break it. And then if I actually draw another one where my 1618 is, that's right near another resistance point as well. So it makes sense based on even Elliott wave for these structures to target it, okay? So I hope that makes sense. I hope that was a satisfactory answer. I really appreciate that donation there. So let's get back into this very quickly. So guys, once again, if we actually break above this resistance, then we've confirmed that the 236 is pretty much at the end. But one thing I would like to make note of is this right here, okay? We're getting some sort of pattern like that so far. It's not looking like it wants to break it so far, right? This seems to be conforming to that type of channel in there. But once again, if we break above whatever that high is, 90.40, then we will have confirmed it. Either way, because the majority of these structures are actually formed already, we can also deduce that it's most likely gonna just, regardless if it corrects here or here, this is the next target, right? So now, if we use our extension from this particular wave, subwaves 1 and 2, this is still the target regardless. So now what we actually have is we have a big wave going upwards. So now what we say is, well, this right here is actually wave 1, okay? This is wave 1 right here. This structure right here was wave 2, right there. Now this structure is wave 3, right there, which pretty much hits one of these resistance points right around there, right? So that's 3, not breaking this critical resistance that I showed you earlier to the left. So now we actually have 5 beautiful subwaves that have hit perfect extensions thus far. Waves 3, like this is subwaves, I'll actually draw it in better detail there, okay? I'll delete this, and I'll actually draw Elliott waves here instead in blue for you. Actually, I'll keep it yellow. Let's actually take some of these off now that we've confirmed a lot of the count already, okay? I don't want to make it too messy. So now we've confirmed that this could be subwaves 1, this is 2, this is 3, 4 is somewhere around here, and that's a perfect 5 waves going upwards, right? And it made perfect extensions where of waves 1 and 2, waves 3, by the rules of Elliott wave, that wave 3 is often the longest and never the shortest. It has already satisfactorily hit our perfect target. Not only has it hit our perfect target, but if we also assume that wave 3 is often the longest and never the shortest, okay, we would assume that wave 3 is longer than wave 1, which is actually above this 100% extension, right? This extension here of the first one is based off of waves 1 and 2. So we could say that, well, if this one here needed to be longer than wave 1, just by some basic rules of Elliott wave, right? This is wave 3, then this wave 3 as well has to be longer than the 100 extension. Perfect. Now we say to ourselves, where could this likely retrace to, okay? Where could it likely retrace to? Now I'll show you guys something by Elliott wave. Whenever we go up, whenever wave 4 comes down, it uses this particular structure as a hard resistance, okay? It usually does not retrace into this territory by actually more than a wick whatsoever. So because it is likely to bounce off of this region if it gets here, we would say with almost certainty that this is a double structure of support and resistance. So when this wave actually ends up correcting, there's no way that it's going to really break this structure, right? So we use waves 1 and 4 as a very hard resistance for where C could possibly trend to when using it in conjunction and confluence with Elliott wave. So now that we're taking this structure right here as a very hard resistance and support, we say to ourselves, well, this one's most likely to correct up to there at most, right? Up to here at most. So now what we're going to have is, ignore time frame by the way guys, we're going to have our wave 4 extension coming down like that, right? And the next one is very easy, okay? I'm going to take my fib extension right here of wave 3, and I'm going to assume that it is often the longest and never the shortest, okay? It's often the longest and never the shortest. So we'll say that it'll get most likely equal to wave 3, okay? And we're also going to say that based on waves 1 and 2 extension, we could easily get up to the 161.8 because wave 3 hit 100. So wave 5 should hit somewhere near 161.8. And we also say that from this Elliott wave, or sorry, from Fibonacci extension of waves 3 and 4, where this is 4 right here, we say that it will most likely extend to about 78.6 to the 100 fib level. And simply going up right here, what we see is $10,000. Pretty cool, right? So here's where we're hitting our 161.8 extension based off of waves 1 and 2 right there. And we also hit a 1-to-1 extension, almost a 1-to-1 extension of waves 3 and 4. So this is the 10K scenario. So I do believe that we're going to hit exactly where this trend line is right there with flying colors. And if this actually comes true, guys, this is going to be a thing of beauty. So this is what I spend a lot of my energy and work on. That's a lot of extrapolation. You're right, crypto. But you know what? These extrapolations, they play out, man. They really, 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 really play out, right? You guys have seen my extrapolations before. Let's delete all this. Actually, I don't want to delete this yet, okay? Oh, I gotta take a screenshot of this. This is the really beautiful chart. I want to take a screenshot of this right now, okay? I want to take a screenshot. I'm gonna post it on my blog. Imagine if this actually plays out and we look at it in like a little bit of time and we're like, whoa, this is actually going to play out. I got to take a screenshot from my blog before I delete it, okay? You guys know how easy fib extensions work out, just going waves 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I give you guys many examples if you really want to see of how ridiculous these extensions actually are, okay? Whoops. I mean, we have to put proof in the pudding, right? I mean, when we were coming down here in this specific structure right there, actually let's go to this one. We were taking our fib extension from right here to right there, right? And what we see is, well, just going on a bear trend in a bear market, which is what I specialize in. There's your 1-to-1 extension. There's your 1618 extension, and here's your waves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there's your waves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right there. So you guys can easily see just from a lot of examples of how we can actually hit them as well, right? So here it did a very extended correction, right? A more extended one than normal, right? So here, first of all, is hitting basically our 1-to-1, a little bit more than that, okay? Based on that wave, so people would have targeted there as profit. So this was also waves 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, like that, okay? So we hit our 1-to-1 extension, and we also hit our 1618 extension. So I've just given you guys 2 examples since March the 5th, where these guys are making the perfect ABC structure, right? ABC, just like that. So is this possible, right? Yeah, it's definitely possible. So I don't know exactly how low we're going to correct to right in this particular moment, but I do believe right now that we're most likely going to be correcting to a fairly decent level. And now this could be the most bullish one, right? If we corrected to only there and we break out of there, you just got to keep an eye. You got to keep an eye on this particular level around 90.40. That's the key number, okay? Well, we say to ourselves, okay, well, Bitcoin actually corrected right here, 236, okay? That corrected 236, right? The first subwave of this one right here corrected to probably 618. Yep, around 618. So a lot of people in this structure were probably eyeing it, and they were just buying right around the 618 Fibonacci level. and that would have been one of the ideal places to buy it. Now, I didn't figure all of this out until about 3 hours ago. That Eric Cho and Johnny, they were just pushing me to tweet this. Let me just have a sip of my tea right now. I don't think, you know what? Right now, the market sentiment is obviously very bullish, right? Like, I never recommend shorting. Like, I'm not even in any position right now at all. I'm completely neutral because I'm waiting to preserve my energy. I'm waiting to preserve my focus, right? When I feel uncertainty in the market, rule number 1, protect your capital, right? You got to protect it, right? Rule number 2, preserve your capital. Rule number 3, grow your capital, right? How do you grow it if you don't protect and preserve it? So when there's uncertainty in terms of which direction it's going right now, it might not be worth the risk, right? So what I'm waiting for is a possible correction, right? If it, I'm going to be very conservative. I'm going to wait for a correction to possibly these zones. We have to make note that how many times did we pound at this, guys? How many times did we pound at this until we broke it? 1, 2, 3, 4 times we pound at it, right? And also we have to make note of the cluster of regions that it actually tried really hard to break, okay? Now, we think of it like this. If it tried that hard to break it, wouldn't it want to stay above it, right? Why the heck would it come back down to these levels if it's tried that hard to break it? So, worst case scenario, this is going to act as a hard support. If it does get down there, it's not likely, in my opinion. It's more likely for it to get to these regions if it does. Thank you, Yoda. I really appreciate that. Luna is going to have a lot of liquor to drink. So this is a more likely region between 86.74 and 87.61. Now you think of the risk, okay? Let's talk about the game of probability right now. What is worth it to you guys with how you assess your risk? The way I see mine is, well, if I were to enter in a long position right now, okay, and let's say my target was that 1618 fib extension, where I'm taking it from this end right here. Oh no, not there. Actually, yeah, I'll take it from here, where we're going to our 1618 extension, okay? Or 100 extension. So let's say this is the target, guys. Like, this is the next target, right? A little bit above here, above 9310. More like, say, 93 to 9400. Oh my goodness, Molly Fun. That's way too funny. You know what, guys? I'm going to be inviting my friend, she's going to come visit me from the States, probably next weekend. And I'm probably going to take next weekend off, and that's kind of the plan. That's kind of the plan, Yoda. I'm actually going to take a break next weekend. The last time that I took a day off was when I got hacked, and that was the most boring few days ever. It was so boring, okay? I just sat there and did nothing. But the last time I took a break before that was January 14, and then I took December off, okay? And then before that, I actually took a day off well before that. Sorry, don't mind the sound in the background right now. I'm actually not at home. So yeah, so the last time I took a break before that was December. And then before that, last time I took a break was actually March. So I worked all the way from March to December and didn't take a single day off. So I think I'm going to take a few more breaks this year. So anyways, let's get back to the game of probability, okay guys? So the game of probability, what is worth your risk? Is it worth it for you guys to enter a long position right here and right now? Well, if you did, you got to make sure that you know where the target is. And the target, we'll say, is roughly 93.50. Well, where's your stop loss going to be? Well, is your stop loss going to be here? Right? Yoda. You know what? Yeah, it's going to be a really fun time in Thailand. I have a very good friend that I'm just dying to hang out with right now. Her name is Mel. And, she's always sending me these super sweet videos and, like, pictures of her view and stuff. And she's always like, yep, come to Thailand. She, actually, let's see if I can actually show you guys one right here. I wonder if she's actually awake right now. She might be mad at me if I show it, but I get a lot of, little videos like this from her. It's just like little clips and stuff, I'm just gonna show you guys it because it's really not that private. I'm scrolling up. We chat a lot. So yeah, I don't know if I should show you guys it. It's kind of private actually, but yeah, I'm not gonna show you guys what she says though. Okay, so she's always sending me videos like this, of like, you know, the sunset or her view. So yeah, I definitely want to go hang out with her soon. So yeah, I have a lot of friends in Thailand, believe it or not. So when I'm seeing views like that, it's like, why the heck am I hanging out here in Canada, you know? So I'm super excited to hang out with tons of friends in Thailand. And when I go there, it's gonna be so fun. I just cannot believe it whatsoever. Okay. Thank you, Troy. I really appreciate that, my friend. So yeah, so we ask about our risk right now. Okay, is this really worth it? Right here. Okay. Is this really worth it to enter a trade if you have your target, and where's your stop loss going to be? Well, your stop loss would probably be realistically on the lower end of it, right? Below this break region. Then you say to yourself, okay, this risk to reward is actually not really worth it right now. It's very risky to go for 4%, but to lose 3.5%. You don't want a risk to reward ratio of 1.16. It's just not worth it. So now let's look at two other scenarios. Scenario number 2. So scenario number 2, you know what, Alex? Don't worry about it, Alex. I trust you. We're very good friends, you know? I know exactly what you're referring to, but thank you for having my back. I appreciate that. I'm from Manitoba, Canada. What time is it right now in Thailand? Thailand time, because she's always watching my videos. It's 9 in the morning right now, okay? It's 9 in the morning right now. I wonder if she's gonna watch this video and be like, what are you doing right now? So yeah. So let's say we look at this scenario as well, okay? Where we actually wait for it to come down here, okay? Now you're not putting any of your cards on the table yet, or any chips on the table yet, because here it was too risky at 1.26. Let's say it even gets to roughly this region right there, the 87.60 range. So now where's your stop loss going to be? We think of the place where it was most likely to bounce off of, right? Where that hard resistance was right around here, which now acts as a support, okay? So if it actually got there, you'd say to yourself, great, I will target around 93.50 range, right? 93.50 range. And then after that, well, don't forget, it has to break this 90.40 with a lot of conviction, right? Like we're talking tons of conviction. But if it actually came down here, well, look at your risk to reward now, right? Your risk to reward's a lot better. You'd probably set your stop loss slightly around there, and you can get a risk to reward of about 3, okay? So 3 is a really good risk to reward, in my personal opinion, right? So this one seems very favorable as well to wait, doesn't it? Compared to entering right now, for example. And now this would gain you a 6.77% gain, where you can risk 2.24%. Now remember that we never actually risk an entire Bitcoin if you're playing one Bitcoin. We only risk a very small fraction of it, right? Now the last one, the last scenario is not that risky, right? For the last breakout, I would probably enter a long position myself. If this was at 9,040, I would have to have massive volume confirmation that signals that the market is getting interested. For example, right here, it's signaled that, hey, the market is getting interested with this volume right here, right? When we're bouncing off of a bunch of EMAs. And of course, we'd have to have a volume like this guy right there. This one's a lot of volume that confirmed to buy into strength, right? As soon as we're exceeding a bunch of the previous volumes, like if you took the average of the volumes right around here, okay, what we see is that the volume spiked above it. So as soon as we break even a resistance for volume, it's go time. So this one has to break a lot. I would be keeping an eye on around 90.75 just to give it a little bit of clearance to make sure we don't see a lot of people selling off. And we also have to make note of the level 2 order book to make sure that we're seeing a lot of green, okay? We want to see a lot of green to make sure that people are actually buying. We don't want to see red in the level 2 order book. So let's say we entered at 90.75 right here, okay? 90.75. Well, that would mean that, first of all, we're confirming the uptrend, right? And our stop loss would most likely be around, say, 88.75, or sorry, 89.75, just to allocate a little bit. And then we target roughly 93.50. Now look at this risk to reward as well. Now it's not always about percentage gain. That's very important as well, the percentage gain. But make sure we understand the risk to reward ratio is something that's very important, right? So right here, guys, because he shows how much he plays more than my yearly earnings from work. I don't really make that much from trading, guys, like much less than you think, because I don't really trade full-time anymore. I used to trade a lot, right? I used to trade a lot, but now it's really taken a back seat, you know? I always talk about my profits on Twitter. Not only do I tweet my profit, but I tweet the order book as well, right? Like back in January and December, when I used to tweet too much of my profits, Twitter didn't really like that at all when I was making a few thousand a day, because they're always like, why don't you show us how to do it? Why don't you give us buy and sell signals? So now I only tweet like to give you guys kind of a taste, right, of what I know and what I do. So, so yeah. So right here is a really good risk to reward ratio, right? If we break above it. What if you draw wave 3 at around 975 and wave 5 at 10.5k? Yeah, you can do that. You can do that at Evaristo, Vasquez, but we have to make sure that we understand that this massive trend line is acting as a really large resistance, right? Now, I don't know if it's going to get there, right? But let's say we ended up getting, the way that you're talking about is very clever, right? We're assuming that it would get to 9.75 around here. But you know what? Based on all the extensions, it would be very difficult to. It would be very difficult because we would actually end up getting something called a fifth wave extension. Then the fifth wave extension would actually be longer than the third wave. So let's say this was the first, that was the second, right? This was the third right here. And you're talking about a fifth wave that goes all the way to the upside right here. And I get what you're saying, to 9.75k, right? Around here. Well, now what we've noticed is that, well, this is actually doing a really big extension compared to the third wave, right? Right here. So it's also not that likely for it to do that on this fifth subwave. Bitcoin does not have a reputation within the third wave to extend that much more than the third wave. It is the fifth wave of the fifth wave that likes to extend the most. So statistically speaking, it is possible, but also not that likely as well based on extension targets that we have. So not only that, if we break these previous resistances, right, this could be a very viable target here, for example. It could be fairly viable, I'd say, but it's more likely for, if this actually ended up did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 9.75k, then it would actually do a really heavy retracement. It would do a retracement to roughly, you know, I would probably end up saying it's still going to retrace to 8,700, right? Because this region right here is a resistance. Well, is it going to retrace down to over here? Like we're assuming that it's going to break this cluster of resistances, right? And that is really unlikely on the first try. What's more likely is that it's going to hit this resistance and the market will take profit. And then we actually end up retracing. So that's kind of my opinion, but very good question. I appreciate that, man. So I hope that this is making sense to you guys. It's a lot of theory, right? It's definitely a lot of theory. But if you guys are noticing right now that the unfavorable trade, right? The unfavorable trade based on risk is to take this trade right now and to enter it. So the more favorable one, in my opinion, is to wait till either it retraces to a low amount just based on probability, right? Bongo, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I hope that you're having a lot of fun in crypto. Crypto should always be enjoyable, right? We shouldn't be here just for the money. We should be here for the sense of community, for, yeah, just gotta have fun with crypto, man. It's like just, that's why I try to make crypto fun, guys. Like, I'm bored most of the time, you know? Like, I'm literally just bored most of the time. Like, it's not like I'm actually working. I'm just kind of having fun with everybody. That's why I try to keep up a good sense of humor, try to keep up with good spirits always, right? So this correction could go for a while. Like, don't get me wrong, guys. Like, this correction could honestly go for a while, right? We've seen this one right here. Like, look how long this one went for example, right? Look how long this one went for right here as well. Okay, this one went for a fairly long time. So I don't think it's gonna make any room right now, any progress. The best thing to do during these consolidation phases is just to chill, right? If you guys actually entered a position right now, you got to make sure that you don't panic, right? You have to make sure that you accept the risk. Okay, that's a really good question, Jonathan. Why is Ethereum looking really bad these days? We first of all have to understand what Ethereum is really good for, right? It's good for ICO tokens, right? ICO token sales. So, you know, a lot of coins like EOS, for example, well, you know, when they're ICO, they were paid in Ethereum, right? They bought Ethereum to get EOS coins. Well, when the market tanks, what does the developers do to pay their team, right? They originally got Ethereum tokens. So when they need money, right? Like, they got to convert to fiat. What they'll end up doing is they'll end up selling their Ethereum. For example, EOS, their team dumped 417,000. That's right, I'm going to write this out just to make sure you guys understand the number. 417,000 Ethereum, right? That's how much they dumped onto the open market. And that's not the only team. We have to think of a lot of the developers as well for every other ICO team that got paid in Ethereum tokens. Well, you know, they're panicking as well, first of all, okay? Because their tokens are just diminishing. They want to maybe buy back cheaper as well. So that's kind of one of the main reasons right now why Ethereum is actually getting hit super hard compared to other coins, right? 417,000, it's actually true. You guys Google that number, right? There's some Chinese gentleman who leaked a lot of information about these ICO dumps. So it's all ICO based, and yeah, that's kind of what happened with Ethereum right now. It was really biting the dust compared to other coins. So if you guys actually entered a position right now, make sure you guys understand two things. One, it is very risky to target 3450. And two, right, you got to make sure you allocate your stop loss very, very generously, right? You're not going to get a more than 1-to-1 risk to reward. Your risk to reward will be very crappy and based on probability, right? Traders hunt for high probable setups, right? With less risk and with really decent risk to rewards for high gains. But we got to remember that without risk, there's no possibility of reward, okay? So this is a very risky trade to take if you guys were to simply enter right now. We got to try to keep your risk to rewards fairly respectable. Okay, risk to reward is all about preserving your capital so it can grow. Remember that if we're traders or investors or swing traders, the only way to grow our capital is to first of all protect it. How can you grow your money if you cannot manage it, right? You got to protect it. You got to secure those profits, guys. You got to think every time you win a trade that you want to be protective with the money that you make. Does that make sense, right? You can't just be carefree with it. Day trader, their main job is to be very disciplined. We have to be so protective of with our money, be very disciplined, strict, stick to these high probable setups, right? So we have to think of it like a casino. Okay, I will give you guys a very quick casino reference, right? Let's say you have a risk to reward ratio, which I'm sure you guys have all seen me do before, a risk to reward ratio of 2-to-1, okay? So it's now 2-to-1, and we're gonna actually flip a coin, okay? Flip a coin. Your buddy says to you, hey, let's flip a coin, heads or tails, out of 10 games, okay? 10 games, right? And if it's a risk to reward of 2-to-1, like every time you win is equal to, he'll give you 200, but every time you lose, you actually have to pay him 100. So the risk to reward refers to you can win twice as much as you lose, right? Let's just say you're playing with a $1,000 or $10,000 position size, okay? Out of 10 games. So we got 10 games, and let's say it's a 50-50 win. Assuming that you guys are good traders and you will win at least 50% of the time, right? 50% of the time. So if you win 5 games, right, at 200 each, that equals to that, or sorry, 2,000 each. Because let's say you can win 10%, right? You can win 10% gain. Each win equals 10% gain. Right? Each loss is equal to 5% loss, right? That's basically what a risk to reward means. You're playing a 10, I'm doing this entirely wrong. So if you're winning 10% of 10,000, that's $1,000. If you're losing 5% of 10,000, that's a $500 loss, right? For each game. Does that make sense? I hope that it does. So once again, you got a 10K position size and you can win 10%, which means you can win $10,000 or $1,000 each game out of 10. But if you lose 5% of 10K, you would lose 500. So now if you're 50-50, you guys are okay traders and you win 5 games, right? Which at $1,000 each, that's equal to $5,000 profit, right? But lose 5 games at 500 each is equal to $2,500 of a loss. So what's your net profit? Your net profit is equal to 5K minus 2.5K is equal to $2,500. So we have to make sure that we understand that no matter what, guys, that this is a marathon. We don't give a crap whatsoever about losing a game. Okay, we try to approach it from the perspective of risk analysis so we can actually try to win over time. You know what, Mike? It's the most simple example to give, right? It's a very simple example, despite of it being bad or not. You got to cater to the audience, right? Not everyone might, maybe you're very advanced for risk analysis, Mike, but we got to give a very basic one that everyone can relate to. And this is a pretty simple way of understanding a risk to reward, right? We try to profit over time, right? That's what we try to do. So just, it's a very basic example. So that's why we try to take these high probability setups, get very good risk to reward ratios, right? And over time, even if we lost some of them, it doesn't matter whatsoever. So we try to focus on the big picture. And who cares if we win, if we lose a single trade, right? Because over time, if you actually make sure that you stick to these setups, there's no doubt in my mind that you will win a lot more of these. I will absolutely say hi to Luna for you, Jimmy. Thank you very much. Say hi to Pico for me too. Adnan, thank you very much for the donation there. For swing traders, is it advised to buy and hold for the targets to reach or have a good stop loss risk reward in mind? I get stopped out some days. Well, swing traders approach things from a very different perspective for longer term, right? They approach things from a longer term, and if you were actually in a swing position, obviously you would have tried to buy right there, right? So you try to hold for much longer. The difference between a day trader and a swing trader is that a swing position could last even up to 2 weeks, right? They hold their positions for a longer period of time. And a day trader, they rarely hold positions overnight. They cash out into fiat. For example, myself, I cashed out into USD on bitfinex, right? I'm not worried about the Tether issue at all. I understand all of the risks associated with Tether, and I'm willing to accept that. So we leave that debate outside. So I cash out at the end of the night. I never have a position up overnight. It just goes against my principles as a day trader. But what I might do is, if I'm very confident of my technical analysis, I will actually put my limit order, like tonight, I will definitely put my limit orders to buy over here, okay? Because I don't want to miss the chance while I'm sleeping. So then when I wake up, then, you know, it's go time if my position's fill. But as a swing trader, you focus on very different time frames, okay? I'll show you guys, just as an example. A swing trader might focus on something like a daily chart, okay? Or they might focus on something like a 4-hour chart and up, okay? So as soon as they see a possible bullish momentum reversal, okay? So for example, right here, they might have been very interested in it because they actually ended up getting tweezer bottoms. So day traders, you know, they won't really be looking at 4-hour time frames. I certainly don't look at 4-hour time frames as much. I try to get the bigger picture, but when I'm day trading day to day, what I actually look at is, you know, 5-minute charts, 10-minute charts, 15, 30, and about 1 hour. But just to give you guys a really rough idea of a 4-hour chart, what we're seeing right now, guys, is we're basically seeing a doji at the top here with another one, right? So this can be seen as basically a tweezer top. Do you guys notice how we're rejecting right now at the 100 EMA? Okay, we're rejecting right now, and we also take a look at these signs of bearish symptoms of volume slowly declining with only 1 hour left, right? So we have to make sure that we note these things as well. So as a swing trader, you have to learn how to develop a strategy that suits what's good for you. In fact, right now, right, you guys missed out your chance already to enter a swing position, in my opinion. But a good place to have entered would be right here above this break. So you see these two tweezers form, right, as a swinger or swing trader for 2 days in a row, right? And then the next day when we see these volume pick up, you probably would have entered right around here on the break of the high at 75.77. So when you enter, when it breaks up there and the volume confirms it, you'd still be holding it right now actually. There'd be no reason for you to even close your position, right? So you would trend down to you would decide what time frame you want to play at, okay? You decide what time frame. For example, when I swing, I look for a 2-hour, right? I look for maybe a 2-hour or a 3-hour. And what we can see right now is we're very, very much so close to an uptrend where the 100 moving average is about to support all of it. So guys, when this corrects a little bit further down, and let's say the yellow moves above the white and the white is supporting below all of it, then that's a good time to enter a swing, for example. So there are so many different predictions, or so many different ways of analyzing and using a strategy. I can talk about quite a few, but what it comes down to is making sure that you guys focus on what you like. Think of it as a university course, right? University first year, where you're exposed to many, many, many different types of classes, but you're not actually majoring in anything yet, right? So then you're exposed to different styles, different classes, etc., just like in trading. But then you eventually develop a style and a strategy that suits your personality. What a lot of people don't actually believe or know is that trading is suited to personality. I'm very rambunctious in general. I've got a lot of adrenaline and a lot of energy, as you guys know, right? I'm actually trying to be serious in this video for once, which is really weird. But because I've got a lot of energy, I'm very kind of I'm very introverted, believe it or not, right? But like when I'm at home on a computer, I'm actually very extroverted. You're welcome, Adnan. I appreciate that generous donation. But because in front of you guys, right, I like to day trade. I like to engage with my audience. I've got a really outgoing personality behind the computer. And I'm super chatty, just so much energy. So day trading really fits my style. Swing trading doesn't really fit my style much because I would just be twiddling my thumbs and doing nothing. So you guys need to find a style that's actually catering to your personality the most. So guys, tonight, my prediction stands. We are seeing some pretty nasty candles, right? On the 4-hour chart, we're just seeing some nasty candles right here. The volume is dying off. My Elliott wave has been in very high detail, right? We're getting kind of resistance around these regions. If you guys actually look at the resistance, it's very clear to me that we're getting a very difficult resistance to breach, guys. It's not just this resistance that we're having difficulty breaching, right? From here, this right here, this region right there. I made a dollar cost averaging spreadsheet, much like yours. It helped me so much. Thank you very much for the donation there, Mike. That's my brother's name, believe it or not. Thank you very much, Mr. Kim. 안녕하세요. Did I say that right? 안녕하세요. Do you know this food called bulgogi? Bulgogi. I eat that a lot. It's really good. I'm a big fan of Korean food and Korean women. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not into Asians. I like my coffee like I like my women. Very white. I'm actually drinking tea right now. It's got a lot of milk in it, right? I usually put honey in it. I put honey and tea in it, and then it's yellow. But I'm like, I like my tea as well, like I like my women. So then I add a lot of honey in it, and then, or milk in it rather. I put milk in my tea, and then it's more white because I keep my coffee as well. I put a lot of milk in it because I want my coffee and my tea and my beverages to represent the kind of women that I like. So yeah. Sorry, I went off on a very weird tangent there, okay? I didn't mean to. That was just kind of an accident. So guys, if you take a look at this right here, right? Look right here. Just as an example, let's try to fix this up a little bit, okay? Let's try to fix it up a little bit like it was a really ugly girl. I'm just kidding, guys. There are no such thing as ugly people. There's only very pretty people on the inside, right? Dove True Beauty, that's what it's all about. And what we notice right here is, well, that's a bull trap. That's a bull trap. We're hitting a cluster right there as well. This was probably drawn a little bit wrong. It's more so, yeah, I'd say that's a lot better now, the way that I took my resistance right here. Okay, that's really good right here around this whole region, okay? I'm just gonna keep extending it. I see another, I'm not gonna rant, Jonathan, not this time. I'm trying to be much more professional in this video because when we talk about Bitcoin getting to $10,000, it's a much more serious kind of tone, right? So guys, I've talked about all the risk to reward ratios and scenarios. This is clearly a resistance area right here that we can see. We also see a trend line resistance as well. Some of them just look like a wick, but if you get to a lower time frame, right, that looks very beautiful. So we say to ourselves as well, all right, well, okay, this right here acted as a major resistance, this area, right? It finally broke above it, or it didn't break above it, it didn't break above it, it didn't break above it, finally broke above it. And then on the downside, hey, guess what? It's actually flipped now, okay? It's actually flipped because this whole region right there that acted as a resistance, guess what? It's now supporting it. Because it supported there, it made a channel, right? It made a channel, it touched the point right there. Guess what? It made a channel and it actually supported it again, right? So why would we assume anything otherwise? Okay, let's move this green box, right? Let's actually create another green box and bring it over here, okay? Well, if this channel actually ends up extending, is it possible for it to actually just, clear somewhere around here if it downtrends, above there at least? Maybe, right? Maybe we're not drawing it that accurately as well. Maybe we need to extend it a little bit further down to this side right here. but you know, it's a possible region. If we take our fib region as well, hey, is it possible for it to hit down here and hit a very reasonable fib level? Yeah, it can hit there, you know, but we're talking about by morning, which is in about 24 hours. Is it likely for it to make something like this, or not likely, but possible in the morning? Yeah, it's definitely possible, right? So we have to make sure that we respect this trend line right here, okay? That's a very significant thing to respect. And do you guys remember where I was talking about 9,350? Right around this range right there, 9,400. I'll just draw a bigger box, but I'll show you guys it, okay? Well, if this one here, you know, made a decent, actually that's not how it is. It was this one right here, right? Just something like that. Well, let's just say we extrapolate it a little bit and we just clone this one over like that. Hey, guess what? That actually is a possibility as well, right? Now, we gotta assume that if 9350 was actually a target based on fib extensions, well, if it were actually to retrace right out of here instead, well, it's gonna have to break, guys. It's gonna have to break out of this massive resistance point that has 3 points. One right there, and another one right there. So in order for it to be very bullish and break above the 236 region, it's gotta break out of that channel. Or not channel, but this at least slope trend line resistance. And then this gets extended out here. Now, what's more likely, you guys think? For us to not break it the third time, right? Not break it the third time, perhaps hit down here and then go up there, or simply just shoot out of it right now and break it. I'd have to say that it's more likely to actually downtrend to over here. But regardless, we've actually planned for every single scenario already. Hey Pablo, greetings from Argentina. Thanks for everything you do for us. Question, why going long on waves 3 and 5, but you usually don't recommend shorting waves 2 and 4 with conservative ratios? Well, it's up to you guys. I generally don't talk about shorting too much, and we just never know, right? We simply never know how it's gonna be for waves 2 and 4. So that's a very good question. I personally don't like to short on really any of those waves for a swing position, but for scalping definitely. But we have to make sure that we know how to count these very well in terms of Elliott wave. So just as an example, this wave here, right? You know, a lot of people would be like, okay, this is now 5 waves, right? Going upwards. I've now officially counted 5 waves like that. Well, I'm just simply gonna short it now at the top, and I'm gonna target 618, right? People are gonna say that. And also, how likely are you to catch the top there, right? I mean, if you look at it right now, let's say you entered a risk to reward ratio, you know, like where's your stop loss also going to be? Let's say you entered it somewhere in the middle, and you say to yourself, all right, well, I'm gonna go for the next, you know, stop loss for the next resistance area right up there, and I'm gonna go to a risk to reward ratio of about 1.32. Not really that worth it, right? For a very small wave for a fib retracement like that. So usually you don't really get the best risk to reward ratio in my opinion, because your stop loss has to be fairly generous based on the previous swing high. And guess what? In this particular situation, you know, you didn't even hit that, right? So a lot of the times, depending on where the wave structure began, here it was clearly the bottom. So it was almost understood as well that we were going to get a very bullish retracement, and it wouldn't have even hit your 618 level. So a lot of the times people will target these levels right here, the 0.5 to 618, and they may not even get it. So you also have to understand the market sentiment in general. Now the first subwave, that can be shorted, right? This one actually was a decent retracement to the 618 like I showed you, right? Now this one here is really risky by the rules of indifference of Elliott wave. If this one retraced very much so 618, this one actually has a chance to retrace a lot lower just based on statistics, right? So this one here I definitely would have shorted it, to be honest. I didn't play any positions, I've just been kind of on the sideline and chatting, but this one was clear as day to have shorted a very tiny position at least. So this one, if I was actually eyeballing it, but I never entered it, right? It was easy. Enter it right around the channel or the slope trend line that we've established, okay? And this one would have been a super small scalp position for me. Very risky still though, at 1.42 risk to reward ratio there. So this one would have been only a 1.51% gain. Not really worth it as well. You guys know what the big one to short is? The big one to short is all of the 5 wave structures when they've actually formed. So the main one that you want to actually short is you want to get all 5 of these waves, right? You don't want to short like just the small subwaves going upwards. Like for example, you don't want to short, you know, this structure there or that one there. You want to go for the bigger ones that have a higher probability of you succeeding. So you want to short these ones here, the very big structure instead, and that one would be really good. So if you actually waited and you're more patient, I'm not saying, guys, that my count is right. Don't get me wrong, right? This is just kind of a taste of how we can get to 10K. It's not actually like a real technical analysis, you can say like that. It's more so hypothesizing, right? I'm just more so throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what can possibly stick, right? Fibonacci word of the day. Good. Definitely Google it, Dustin. If you don't know what that is, write it down, man. If I ever say terminology that you guys don't understand, make sure that you guys are actually writing all this stuff out. Get a pen, get a paper, Google it. It's how we learn as traders. So we want to wait for all 5 waves, guys. Like, I'm definitely interested, okay, when these 5 waves form right here. I'm gonna wait for waves 1, 2, 3, wherever this 4th wave is, and a 5th wave to maybe 9,400, and then we take our Fibonacci of the whole range. Now we know that where the hard resistance is, we enter a short position here, right? Set our stop loss slightly like 95, 9,600, whatever, just in case. And then you target the next cluster of resistances that we broke. So right here is going to be a very good short position coming up for a possible 7% gain with a good risk to reward ratio of 5-to-1. So I always plan ahead, and that's what you guys should do as well. Make sure you guys are all, I'm at my folks tonight. She's upstairs right now with my folks. Excuse me, next time I have a sip of my tea. Yeah, I don't really like being alone a lot, right? It's kind of lonely, so yeah, I'm always back and forth. And the folks, they love the dog as well, so they're probably more than me, I'm guessing. So I'm always like here 4 nights a week or something most of the time. Like I mentioned, right, I don't really go out a lot with my friends. They were more so the ones that come over. So I'm a really big homebody, just put it that way, okay? So she's probably getting ready to sleep right now. She always sleeps with my mom, right? Whenever I'm here, she doesn't like me whatsoever. Like, she's really in love with my mom. It's like my mom's dog, you can say, right? She just follows her everywhere when she's around. So yeah, this is going to be a really good risk to reward. Oh, my throat's so dry. Just let me have a sip of my tea here. But don't get me wrong, guys. Like, I work really hard, you know, like 16-hour days, 17, 18-hour days for months in a row. But when I take a break and I hang out with my friends, oh yeah, we go pretty hard. You know, it's like, yeah. I always make this joke with Mel, right? That when we go to, when I go to Thailand, we're gonna do a lot of Molly, and we're gonna be wondering how the heck did we wake up in Cambodia? So it's gonna be pretty funny when that happens. Hey guys, look who's here. Eric Cho is here. You guys ever hear the story of how Eric and I met? Okay, I want to show you guys. I want to tell you guys the story of how Eric and I met. If you guys have never heard it before, I was actually walking in a park one day. Okay, I was walking in a park. It was a beautiful day, and I laid my eyes on Eric Cho, and I'm like, okay, that person is my target. So, I kid you not, I go up to Eric Cho. Sparks were literally flying. It was just electrifying. Eric fell right to my feet, and I said to myself, damn, I love my new taser. Heyo! Okay, just to tell you guys a little bit of the story. Just in case you guys have never actually heard that joke before, okay? I'm not going to tell the goat story again, right? That was a really good joke. But don't ever go to a female and tell her that joke, okay? Or just in general, like the reason why I'm not referring to a girl in this story, right, is because, you know, it's not cool. But when you say it to about another guy, it's a lot more funny, you know? It's a lot more funny. So yeah. So yeah. I was gonna make a really inappropriate joke, but yeah, I definitely can't. I sometimes want to really make inappropriate jokes, but I just simply cannot, because I realize they're illegal, right? It's completely illegal, these jokes that I'm making, and if, you know, someone were to hear that, it's also really unethical and just not cool at all. So I gotta really restrain myself sometimes, okay? So anyways, that kind of summarizes the video for 10K. I hope wow, I've actually been talking for over an hour. That's insane. I can actually hold your guys' attention for an hour? That is unbelievable that I can hold your attention for an hour. And there's actually 2,000 people. Do you guys know that my live streams, I am officially the most watched live stream YouTuber for cryptocurrency on all of YouTube. That is amazing. I'm so happy to be doing this with you guys. I hope you know that. And I appreciate all the love and the support that you guys have given me. So I think I'm going to call it here, guys. I'm probably going to call it a night. Probably gonna go chat with my friend Mel or something. She just got up for like an hour or something, and I'm gonna call it a night. And thank you very much for all the love and the support. You guys have all of my thoughts here. I'll try to put in some work to put in my 10K scenario chart. Other than that, have yourselves a great day, guys, and I thank you very much for all the love and the support. Good night, baby whales, mini dolphins, and tiny, tiny little penguins. May you always march to safety and profit. Bye now. Have a good night, guys. Take care. Thank you very much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Bye.